who's to say that one of these AIs doesn't just create a million times powerful nuclear bomb and humanity just ends? That decentralized thing needs Bitcoin because it'd be the only way to not get shut down. All the wealth in the world is trying to get sucked into Bitcoin. There's a huge economic incentive to do that. As you get closer to this horizon or the singularity, it accelerates faster and faster. Some demand starts to flow into Bitcoin, and then all of the narratives flip once price starts moving a different direction, and we could just be off to the races once again. Now, if the Bitcoin thesis is correct, it's hard to not see how that's just inevitable. It's just a matter of time. I think if we're right about Bitcoin, and we're entering the singularity, you're going to be pretty wealthy even if you have a pretty small allocation to Bitcoin. If that's the case, and if you are someone that's at a 5 on the fear and greed index right now, maybe that's a sign that you are over allocated. Maybe that's a sign that you were over leveraged. Maybe that's a sign that you don't necessarily understand what you hold. And I think if you are 100% all in, like some people can handle that. Most people probably can't because the fear is extreme, and that makes you a forced, either a seller or a forced seller at the worst possible time when you shouldn't really be a forced seller. And that can, enable you to end up with less Bitcoin than you otherwise would have. So, yeah, anyone can be 100% all in. I don't necessarily think that's necessarily a great idea, but it can be done.
I think Christian Corollas or CK, he kind of phrased it really well. It's like no one's bullish enough on Bitcoin. If you're bullish enough on Bitcoin, you would be happy with what you have because you'd know it's going to be enough. If you think you need more, in a way, you're not bullish enough. You're saying what you have is not going to be worth, astronomical wealth in the future at some point if you hold long enough. Sort of speaking of 2025, but let's turn to 2026. What are you excited about in 2026? What are the things that you think could happen? I'll go first. So, I'm not for people necessarily lending against their Bitcoin. I don't want Wall Street to eat Bitcoin, but I want Bitcoin to continue to eat Wall Street. And I say that in a positive way. I want Bitcoin to affect change in the world. I think finance is an important aspect of our society and our economy. I just don't want an over-financialized world. And I think Bitcoin helps simplify that and brings finance back to its roots in a lot of ways. So I'm not saying I want people to lever up against their Bitcoin, but I do want to see Bitcoin taken more seriously as pristine collateral. And that means, better rates for borrowing against your Bitcoin, being able to borrow against your Bitcoin at a bank, maybe to buy a home. And it's the way you can use your securities to borrow, for a personal secured loan, the way you could use a home for a HELOC, right? I'm excited to see Bitcoin be taken more seriously as collateral. Again, I'm not encouraging people to lever up against it, but that doesn't mean that it's not a part of how the world works. But what would you be excited to see happen in 2026? And I'm not asking that happens and price goes up, but the kind of things that indicate Bitcoin is growing in a good way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Bitcoin being integrated as collateral into the credit system, into the banking system, it arguably is slowly happening, but could accelerate. And I think that would be really good for Bitcoin. If the Bitcoin thesis is correct, it's hard to not see how that's just inevitable. It's just a matter of time. Where I would specify part of that is digital credit, pioneered by Michael Saylor. I think that, if you look back, I believe STRK was Strategy's first digital credit product that they created. And I believe it was announced or released in January 2025 or the end of, or maybe February. And so it's been at this point 1 year since digital credit was released, and arguably Bitcoin has not been in a bull market since that has happened. And I think that this is where the Bitcoin credit and Bitcoin as collateral idea has gotten the most product market fit. Very clearly, as Saylor has raised many billions of dollars, creating products like this. And so I think in a world where Bitcoin can actually do what Bitcoin does and go up in price, and digital credit existing in a bull market could be incredibly explosive for Bitcoin and also for the digital credit industry. So that's kind of one thing that I'm excited about, kind of showing that even if it's a bear market, which arguably we could be in right now, showing that digital credit just doesn't break, still works. Saylor continues making all of his dividend payments that he's promised, and then whenever the next bull market comes around, being able to point back and say, hey, this digital credit thing, you could have been earning 10% or 12%. Why are you lending your money to the U.S. government at 3% or 5%, or Apple at 5 or 6%? You buying this, and it's backed by a ton of Bitcoin. I think that's kind of what I'm excited about is the future of digital credit.
Yeah, well, he's definitely a pioneer, and it's really going to be interesting to see where digital credit goes. I think the equity component of Stretch is what I think is going to take market is going to have to watch for a long time. Long time being could be 12 months, 18 months, whatever. Just a little bit more time to get to understand this thing before grandma maybe goes all in on her like sort of stable fund. And stable fund is not sort of a hint at stable coins, but sort of her long-term retirement savings.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest Byte Federal ATM and turn your cash to coin. Byte Federal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, bytefederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.